You ever had your car hit at a gas station? Sometimes the way people come around these curves, you gotta watch them, because you don't know. Because everybody's in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. But so many people are. So I always make sure before I leave home I got my mind right. Because otherwise, people will. And this is just something I'll put out there. If you do not put yourself in the right state of mind when you leave home, it could be tragic. And it's just not that serious. Not for me. It should never be that serious, because there are plenty of people out there who are confrontational, who are ready. And, I know there are other people who shall remain nameless who just want to get home safely, but that's my motto too. I just want to get home safely. And that's it. No matter what I'm doing, from the time I leave home until I get back, I got one goal. And that's to leave home safely. So anything else, as some people I know would say, is just some dumb shit. My life is too simplistic for me to be getting twisted up over what? Oh, Lord. I have thought for some time. A few years ago, was this before? Yeah, this was even before the pandemic. I was going to get an RV. So I went on this campaign, and I was researching and doing all the things people do, because I had lived on the road before for work, and I swore if I ever got on the road again, I would have everything I wanted. That was my philosophy. But then, as time went on and reality set in, and it was right after the pandemic started. I had a friend of mine who was an over-the-road driver, still is. I asked him to go to, I think it was Cedar City, Utah, to look at one. This guy was selling one. It was older, of course. But it had everything I wanted, because it was an RV, and I only wanted, a 23, maybe 24 inch. But I was afraid to go by myself to meet a guy who was selling an RV. That was what it came down to. And so we talked about it, and we're just friends. We've been friends for years. And he kind of discouraged me, but I'm not going to hold him responsible for my decision. We kept setting up appointments. I did, with this guy to meet him. I wasn't going to drive all the way from Las Vegas to Cedar City just for that reason. I was still working, and it would have been really easy for me to stop off there while I was working. I mean, I could have got paid and still, in other words, killed two birds with one stone. That's what I was thinking. The problem was, generally when I'm there, it's real early in the morning, because I deliver in the middle of the night. So I asked him if he could meet me between 7 and 9 a.m. And he told me no. He said, because he had already changed the schedule because of his job. And he pointed out the only time he wanted to show it was on the weekend. Well, coincidentally, That's the only time, well, no, it wasn't the only time, but primarily the only time I did Utah was on the weekend. So it was working out perfectly. But the bottom line is this guy just kept changing the time. And I started getting really uncomfortable because if you really want to sell something, why do you keep changing the time? So I got frustrated and I started looking elsewhere. And then before I knew it, I didn't want an RV anymore. I kept thinking about the miles per gallon. And my mindset is in a work mode. Even if I'm on the road, it's still in a work mode, meaning that it's all about getting from point A to point B. Sort of like when you hear people who've been in the military, and I'm talking about my father, who was in the Korean War. But when older people talk about being in Europe and stuff, they weren't sightseeing and having fun. They were working. That was military. That's a different mentality. So my mindset of getting any kind of vehicle that is all inclusive, my mindset, I have to change the way I think. And that's a process. So here I am. It is December of 2022. And I've got some frustration, and I'm not going to get into what it's about, but I just keep saying to myself, as I have been, and it seems like the time when this sticks to me the most is at the end of the year. And it may be that whole resolution thing where we think about, what we thought we might do or whatever. I don't know. The point is, I'm thinking I'm gonna get me a van. I'm thinking. And maybe get it fixed up. Very, very primitive. That's what I'm saying. And I mean, keep in mind, I used to live in a van for work. It had nothing as far as conveniences for me. I had an air mattress and one of those pots that you plug in and heat water. That's what I had. Of course, I had all my I had all my clothes and toiletries, things like that. And that's how I lived. And I tell you what, I got some of the best sleep. I got the best sleep in that vehicle. I mean, the most peaceful sleep. It didn't matter where I was in this country. I slept so good. And I would park, this was a different time, but I would park, I'd pull up on the side of the road. I still have that. That's one of my rules. Something I learned on the road the hard way was anytime I felt myself getting tired, or some would say sleepy, I would not push myself. I did at first, but I had to learn it's very dangerous when we say, well, I can go a few more miles. And I realized, no, you can't. It's so much easier to pull on the side of the road and get a nap. 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is you need, so that you can, because the goal is just to get down the road safely. It's not about you, tucking in for the night and getting comfortable, putting on your jammies. The only thing I do when I pull on the side of the road is put my seat completely back and get a nap. I do it right now. Whenever I'm out here and I feel tired, and it happens, I get tired, especially now with me not going anywhere. So there are times I come in town, which for me is going into Las Vegas. And this is a round trip of about 150 miles. And that's just if I go one, maybe two places. When I think about what my schedule was, when in the course of a day, I might stop 10, 15 places. Not that many for work, but maybe 5, 10 places. And I wasn't even local, because I would do Utah, meaning Cedar City, St. George. I do many cities in Arizona, and of course, Nevada. So I was all over the place. I was putting about between 2,000 and 5,000 miles on my vehicle a week. Okay, that's a lot of miles. So when I tell you going cross country, for me to go from here to the east, I've done it many times. I have. So I don't even think about it. That's not something unusual for me. My body is conditioned to do that. But now my body is conditioned to, whenever I need to get a nap, which is the moral of the story, when you need a nap, pull on the side of the road. Now, does that mean, pull anywhere? I don't care where I'm at. Well, again, it's my conditioning. You have to feel comfortable with where you pull on the side of the road. Because I'm not talking about a truck stop or the term that's used now, travel center. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now. I'm on Highway 160 going east. If I needed to stop right now, I'd pull right over. The only thing is, you want to make sure you are completely out of the line of fire. In other words, a lot of truckers, a big percentage of truckers on the road are very tired. Very tired. I won't even get into all of that. But the point is, they fall asleep at the wheel and they lose control of their vehicle. That's just commonplace. So because it is, you want to completely get off the highway, meaning the little side way that's set up there that might be for your vehicle. I'm not even talking about right there. I'm talking about the gravel. Because if a trucker loses control and regains it, if you are right there on that little pavement, he would get you. What I do is completely get out of the way. And so far, that's worked for me. So, again, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you what I've done in my life to keep me safe. I'm not out here an advocate for what is the best way for people to keep safe, because I haven't technically been out here in a long time. Now, whenever I go back east, or anytime that I drive now, I still practice the same habits that I've developed over the years when I decide to stop. I am very observant. I'm always looking behind and front, on the sides. I'm always looking. And that's just not in the vehicle. That's outside the vehicle as well. I'm very observant. And that's very important for anybody. You always want to be paying attention, because the places that you think are not safe, you're probably safer there than you are at a place that is supposed to be very safe. And again, I know we live in different times. And I'm not even a person who's been out there in the past couple of years. Now, some would say, but you've turned a lot of miles, even though you haven't driven a lot. I've still turned probably 10,000 miles. And I know that's a lot for a lot of people, but that's not a lot of miles to me. Because for me to go back east and come back home, that's 5,000 miles. And that's even if I don't do a lot of going all over the place. That's just me going there and coming straight back. You're going to eat up 5,000 miles just that way. Now, just throw in there some, oh, you're going to veer off to, oh, I don't know. Let's see. Say you're out west and you want to go, I don't know, from here to there, and you decide you want to veer off another interstate, maybe 95 or 93 or 15, and go to some other state or another town. You got miles you're going to accumulate. I'm an advocate for getting on the road. I think the only way, or the best way, and the most economical way for you to see the country is by land. Getting in your vehicle, of course, minimally, because I'm going to tell you something I find that most of my money when I'm on the road, where it gets spent, is in getting a room. Yeah, that's the biggest bulk of my money when I'm on the road. That's where I spend the most. Now, if you're one of those people who, I don't know, one of those people who doesn't like to drive when it gets dusk, or who has to get a room, at 6 o'clock in the evening and get rested up. And I'm not taking anything away from that, because I'll tell you something. As time goes on, I find myself, no, this is my philosophy now when I'm on the road, because I don't have a schedule. Whenever I feel like it, I just go with it, because I don't have a set time for a destination. That's why it takes me so long to leave home. I'm standing in the mirror, putting moisturizer on my skin, and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm looking at the clock, and it's after 12 o'clock, and I'm thinking, well,